Chapter 21 Fusion of the Three Innate Martial Souls. The Sky Dream Iceworm indifferently said, Idiot, that's obvious. Haven't you ever thought to yourself about this? Even someone possessing twin martial souls wouldn't be able to withstand the suppressive strength of a 1,000-year soul ring when he is at the level you humans call rank 20. The reason why he can do it is exactly because he has 3 martial souls. Each and every one of his martial souls has improved his physique, so that's how he's able to possess a 1,000-year soul ring when he's only at rank 20. Using the descriptions you humans use, this fellow you're hugging is a super genius that's hard to see even in 10,000 years. Who you would absolutely never have thought that Wang Dong would actually possess 3 martial souls. No wonder he told Xia Xiao that she'd absolutely never be his match in a 1v1 situation. No wonder he possessed such strong self-confidence. He was only a 2-ring soul grandmaster, but he had never displayed any feelings of admiration towards anyone. Who had never thought that Wang Dong's talent was this high. Foolish kid, what do you have to be stunned about? In a sense, you're someone who has triple martial souls as well. Furthermore, don't forget this, your first soul ring is an unprecedented million-year soul ring. I can guarantee that you absolutely won't find a second million-year soul beast on the Douluo continent. Therefore, even though he's an exceptional genius, you're unique and unmatched. Have some confidence in yourself. For example, now, with your brother as an unprecedented intelligent soul ring, I'll let you take the initiative when you two undergo martial soul fusion. Relax your body and allow me to do everything. As he spoke, a refreshing feeling instantly spread from Yuao's brain to his entire body, causing his awareness towards his surroundings to dramatically increase. It was as if he'd used his mental detection. Everything in the room appeared as a 3-dimensional figure. Not only that, but there seemed to be various colors interchanging in the room. Yuao finally saw the color changes on Wang Dong's body. Gold, bluish gold, dark gold. The 3 colors flickered alternately. On the other hand, the 3 colors on his body were white, ice blue, and gray. The 3 colors transformed unceasingly. It was just as the Sky Dream Iceworm had said. The compatibility between their martial souls was simply too high. Whenever the color on Yuao's body became white, the color on Wang Dong's body would turn gold. Then, the ice blue on Yuao's body would be matched with Wang Dong's bluish gold. Gray was matched with dark gold. The 3 pairs of colors were extremely harmonized. However, after the Sky Dream Iceworm started to move, the color of Yuao's pupil quietly turned a faintly ice blue color, which was different from the time when it had helped Yuao fight against Ma Xiaodao's terrifying Phoenix Flame. This time, the Sky Dream Iceworm only poured a trace of its strength into Yuao's spiritual sea. It didn't control his body. He only guided Yuao's aura, causing it to start producing various transformations. Gradually, it could be seen that the aura on Yuao's body had quietly strengthened by quite a bit. During this kind of process whereby martial soul fusion was occurring involuntarily, a transformation in the aura of one party would inevitably cause a subsequent transformation in the aura of the other party. Consequently, Wang Dong's aura immediately strengthened by quite a bit as well. And at this moment, a strong spiritual undulation was released from Yuao's body, simultaneously jolting the two. The two then fainted in what was practically the same instant, causing their bodies to fall onto Wang Dong's fur-covered bed. The Sky Dream Iceworm's cunning voice then rang out. Next, just watch this, brother. There's also a distinction between the main user and the secondary user during a martial soul fusion, so let's take the dominant position and take a few advantages. This fella called Wang Dong is actually... Since that's the case, I'll take a few less advantages from him. Strands of icy blue thread started to slowly appear on Yuao's fingertips, rapidly enveloping his and Wang Dong's bodies. If you examined them closely, you would realize that these threads were actually completely made from soul power. This was absolutely not Yuao's soul power. With his current cultivation, he was simply too far from wanting to materialize his soul power. Gradually, the two who were embracing each other had already turned into an enormous cocoon. After all, the Sky Dream Iceworm was a silkworm, and forming cocoons was a natural ability that belonged to silkworms. Currently, their respective auras were completely concentrated within that blue cocoon, unceasingly wandering about their bodies while transforming. The Sky Dream Iceworm's pleased voice rang out. Done. I'll just let them continue for now. It was a perfect fusion. Their compatibility rate was 100%. With the fusion between 3 martial souls, I don't believe that Grey Tortoise won't be forced out. If you have the ability, come out from your shell and fight 300 rounds with this bro. Humph. The dormitory quieted back down after that. Only the large icy blue cocoon remained, flickering with a mysterious light. There were no soul power undulations outside the cocoon, and the 2 people within the cocoon were in a deep sleep. Time slowly passed. Today was the only day Yuao didn't sell his roasted fish. Xia waited for the 2 for a long while, but she didn't see them exit the dorms. Just like how male students couldn't casually enter the girls' dorms, female students couldn't enter the male dorms as they wished. After a moment of helplessness, she could only return to her room to rest. On the other hand, Tang had dragged Bei to the entrance of Shrek Academy in order to wait for Yuao's roasted fish. However, they didn't find Yuao's absence strange. After all, they had heard of the freshman assessment system. The assessment system changed every year, and this year's system was especially fierce. The 2 even asked around about the trio's situation within the assessment. Since Yuao didn't set up his stall, they naturally assumed that he was too tired from the assessment. Thus, they didn't think much of it, and decided to go back to their rooms after waiting for a while. They weren't the only ones who were disappointed by Yuao's absence. Today, Jiang Nanan had also queued up early. Unfortunately, she could only return disappointed today. However, nobody knew how important this was for Yuao and Wang Dong. After being schoolmates for 3 months, the relationship between the 2 started to have a qualitative change from today onwards. Sea God's Lake, Center Island, Lakeside. Teacher Wang Yan, who had just carried out the freshman assessment not long ago, was standing here. Only, he had an exceptionally respectful expression on his face. An old man with disheveled hair was sitting not far away from him, his figure somewhat messy. His originally white changpao had already been changed into a greyish-brown one which had many holes on it. His naked feet were currently immersed in the cool water of the Sea God's Lake while his right hand held a massive bottle gourd. The bottle gourd was red-purple in color, and nobody knew what it was made out of. He occasionally took a gulp from it, immediately causing a strong smell of alcohol to spread. His other hand held a fried chicken, ignoring the grease on it. The way he was eating and drinking made one feel that it was extremely joyful. Sun Lao, this is what happened. These students are still young, they're freshmen. Even though that's the case, they're truly deserving of our attention. Oh. The sloppy elder who was called Sun Lao swallowed a mouthful of chicken before glancing back at Wang Yan. In all other aspects, he looked like a very old man. However, his unexpectedly scarlet eyes were extraordinarily bright. They seemed as if they could steal one's soul away. But his gaze was slightly disorderly, so much so that he even appeared vacant. It was as if he wasn't seriously paying attention to Wang Yan's words. A body soul. Interesting. Sun Lao mumbled to himself, his voice somewhat rough and aged. Wang Yan asked, Sun Lao, can a hair martial soul be considered a body soul? Sun Lao spoke as he ate. It could be connected to it. Wang Yan replied, since that's the case, Lan Susu and Lan Luoluo should deserve your attention. They can even release a fusion skill. If they can even be connected to a body soul, their future potential should be quite large. Sun Lao shook his head and said, hair? Impossible. You're known as a person whose research and theoretical skills are very strong, so how could your knowledge of body souls be so weak? Wang Yan smiled bitterly. There's simply no one I can perform research on. Also, the information related to body souls is simply too limited. The body sect hasn't entered the world for a long time. Sun Lao chuckled and stood up, his wet feet stepping on the grassy floor. He appeared very casual and relaxed as he said, then let me teach you something. To tell how strong a body soul is, you have to see how important it is to the body. If the body part used in a body soul is more important to the human body, the better it'll be. Because of that, I'm quite interested in that youth who has the spirit eyes. If your hair falls off, it can still be grown back. But what if you lose your eyes? Furthermore, he even possesses a spiritual type martial soul. In other words, his martial soul actually consists of his eyes and his brain. To be able to see a body soul that stands at the peak of all body souls within your lifetime, you're quite lucky. However, I believe that his body body soul hasn't been completely stimulated yet. Otherwise, why would he be reduced to using a 10-year soul ring? Go tell little Ning I'll be watching the freshman assessments ranking tournament. Ask him to leave a space for me. Yes. Night gradually descended. However, the ice blue halo in Wang Dong's and Huo Yuao's room continued to quietly flicker. Time gradually passed as evening became night. The aura surrounding Huo Yuao's and Wang Dong's body had secretly undergone mysterious changes. The colors of their respective auras had further coiled around each other, fusing. Furthermore, their respective soul power had even traveled in a strange cycle after entering each other's bodies. In addition to that, each differently colored aura was followed by a different circulation path. If it were anyone else who had entered a martial fusion, they would need at least 3 days to complete their fusion. However, the Sky Dream Ice Worms managed to help them directly complete the soul power circulation paths during their fusion by utilizing the interactions between their auras, allowing them to save an extremely large amount of time. After a wordless night, day gradually arrived. The ice blue cocoon gradually melted, revealing the situation within. Huo Yuao and Wang Dong were still tightly hugging each other, but the differently colored auras surrounding them had already disappeared. Their faces were right next to each other, and they could even smell each other's breath. They were sleeping very, very soundly. After coming to Shrek Academy, this was the first time that Huo Yuao hadn't woken up early to cultivate, as well as the first time he hadn't eaten breakfast. The outside of the dormitory quickly became lively. The other students living in the dorms had already woken up, and they were rushing about to clean themselves. The noisy sounds gradually affected the two who were sleeping soundly, causing Wang Dong to wake first. Ugh. Wang Dong's soft groan sounded somewhat lethargic, yet also seemed slightly delicate. As he slowly opened his eyes, he saw Huo Yuao right next to him. He was left stunned for a moment. After moving his body for a moment, he realized that he'd been tightly hugged by Huo Yuao. Their chests were stuck to one another's tightly. Huo Yuao's body even seemed to be giving off a warm feeling. Wang Dong only knew that he had slept for a very, very long time. He had never felt something like this before, so at this moment, besides a slight sense of peculiarity in his heart, he actually felt panicked. Huo Yuao, wake up. He struggled lightly against Huo Yuao's embrace, wanting to free himself from Huo Yuao's hands. However, staying in that position for too long a time had caused the two's bodies to slightly stiffen up. Without even talking about Huo Yuao's hand, even his own hand felt slightly numb as he tried to pull them back to himself. Huo Yuao finally woke up from his sleep, discovering Wang Dong, who was in front of him, with a glance. The two were simply too close to each other. The only reason why their noses weren't stuck together was because Wang Dong had deliberately raised his head. But Huo Yuao felt the sensation of a long pair of eyelashes as Wang Dong blinked. Why are you so close to me? Huo Yuao spoke subconsciously. As he spoke, his warm breath covered Wang Dong's face. You. Wang Dong flew into a rage. He suddenly started struggling, finally withdrawing his arms. Then, he used his hands to grab Huo Yuao's shoulders, pulling himself backwards while raising his soft legs and shoving them between him and Huo Yuao, creating a gap between the two of them. When Huo Yuao woke up, he subconsciously loosened his grip on Wang Dong's hands. But after being separated from Wang Dong by his legs, he finally woke up from his sleep. However, Wang Dong woke him up even more in the next moment. Within the dorm room, the two each had a single bed to themselves. The sudden strength released by Wang Dong's long legs immediately kicked Huo Yuao away, causing him to land on the ground with a putong. Aya, Wang Dong, what are you doing? Huo Yuao was in agony due to being fiercely kicked to the ground by Wang Dong while he'd been completely defenseless. This immediately caused an indignant expression to appear on his face. Wang Dong was slightly breathless as he sat up. After straightening his messy clothes, he angrily said, "You're asking me what I was doing? Why were you sleeping on my bed last night?" Only then did Huo Yuao discover that he'd been kicked off Wang Dong's bed. He remained silent for a brief moment, thinking to himself, Bro, you've doomed me. Don't you know how misophobic that guy is? Why would you make me sleep together with him?" Although he thought this in his heart, he still argued, "You can't blame me for this. Look, didn't you sleep with me as well?" Wang Dong snorted angrily. Just as he was about to reply to Huo Yuao, a piercing ring suddenly rang out, jolting both of them. "I forgot, it's time for class. Crap, we're late." Quick! Huo Yuao instantly jumped up, directly running outside with Wang Dong in tow. Wang Dong didn't have the time to be angry with Huo Yuao, as he was also aware of the trouble they had gotten themselves into. Thus, he ran alongside Huo Yuao. The two didn't have time to eat breakfast, nor did they have the time to shower. Instead, they quickly ran towards the teaching blocks. They were extremely clear about Zhou Yu's temper. Was there any difference between being late for class and committing suicide? Their appearances were truly somewhat wretched. Wang Dong was still fine. At the very least, he had still managed to straighten his clothes when he'd kicked Huo Yuao earlier. Huo Yuao, on the other hand, was in an even more sorry situation. His school shirt was half tucked into his pants. Not only that, his hair was also messy, and 2 of his shirt buttons were unbuttoned, exposing his bronze chest. As he ran, the wind blew his clothes around. However, they didn't have the time to worry about that. Right now, all they wanted to do was to rush to the classroom with the utmost haste and extinguish the flames of Zhou Yu's anger. They were already late. After a minute, they arrived at class 1's entrance. "Reporting in." Huo Yuao shouted out, full of energy. "Reporting in." Wang Dong's voice was softer than his, so much so that it seemed like he didn't have any energy at all. He stole a glance at Huo Yuao, a somewhat complicated expression in his eyes. Then, he ruthlessly raised his hand and pinched Huo Yuao's back. Huo Yuao's expression immediately changed, but seeing that Zhou Yu had already walked over to them, he forcefully held in the scream that almost left his mouth. The other students were already present. Seeing Huo Yuao's sloppy appearance, a smile unexpectedly flashed through Zhou Yu's eyes. However, the always meticulous Huo Yuao didn't manage to notice it as a result of the severe pain from his back. "You two, what happened? Come in first." Zhou Yu waved over to the two. Huo Yuao and Wang Dong hurriedly walked into the class, and Wang Dong even shut the door considerately. Xiao, who had already arrived earlier, couldn't help but widen her eyes as she saw their wretched appearances. Her mouth moved, but she didn't say anything. It looked as if she was asking, "Heavens, what were the two of you doing last night?" The gazes of the entire class were focused on the two, especially on the monitor whose clothes were untidy. Zhou Yu used her ever-cold voice to ask, "My dear class monitor, tell me, what were you two doing?" Sorry, Teacher Zhou, we overslept." Huo Yuao replied with an embarrassed look on his face. Now, all they could do was to take the initiative to apologize for their mistakes. Furthermore, they could only receive whatever punishment Zhou Yu gave them without complaining. Who slept with who? You actually managed to oversleep. Zhou Yu made a rare joke. Huo Yuao was stunned, while Wang Dong's face instantly reddened. This was because she'd hit upon the truth. The whole class continued to remain silent, but this silence only lasted for 3 seconds. Right after that, the class burst into laughter. Wang Dong lowered his head, wishing he could find a hole to jump into. This was embarrassing, simply too embarrassing. Having just noticed Huo Yuao's untidy clothes, he just wanted to slap him to death. This bastard, he made me lose all my face. Unexpectedly, Zhou Yu smiled as well, although the smile on her face looked even uglier than someone crying. Huo Yuao was certain that she was smiling. Zhou Yu raised her hand, and her authority as a super teacher undoubtedly manifested itself, causing the entire class to quiet immediately. However, Zhou Yu ignored the smiling expressions in their eyes. Enough. Return to your seats. Zhou Yu waved her hands, forgiving the two in a completely unprecedented manner. Huo Yuao and Wang Dong subconsciously raised their heads, thinking they had heard wrongly. Zhou Yu glared at them. "What? You've overslept to the point where you don't know what I'm saying." Only then did Huo Yuao understand what she had said. Pulling Wang Dong's sleeve, the two gloomily walked over to their usual seats. However, they didn't feel like raising their heads after feeling the surrounding looks of ridicule. However, it was fortunate that they were still freshmen, where everyone was only 11 or 12-year-old students. They only treated the issue of two people sleeping together as a joke. They didn't think too much of it, but if this reached the ears of the outer courtyard's upperclassmen, and was distorted by the words of a few fujoshis, it could become an even bigger scandal. After walking back to the teaching podium, Zhou Yu indifferently said, "After 3 days, the freshman assessment has finally ended. The final results were already tallied last night." After hearing her words, the students of class 1 were filled with energy. Not every group was as absolutely confident they had passed the assessment like Huo Yua's group. A smile that nobody dared to compliment unexpectedly appeared on Zhou Yu's face for the second time today. I have no choice but to admit that you've worked very hard. You've given me face. Out of our 22 teams from class 1, all of you have passed the freshman assessment. I'm very happy about this. Bang. The entire class was filled with boiling excitement. Cheering sounds filled every corner of the classroom. This time, Zhou Yu didn't stop them. She smiled as she watched the excited cheering of the kids in front of her. They truly had the qualifications to start cheering. Last night, all of the proctors as well as the teachers in charge of the 10 classes had worked together to tally the results of the assessment. Practically all the proctors stated that the students from class 1 were much more resilient than the students from the other classes. During the intensive assessment competition, they had all displayed a frightening amount of willpower and combat strength. Out of all the classes, they were the class that attended tides the most times during the assessment. Most outstandingly, the students from class 1 practically won all the matches that involved opponents who were evenly matched with them. Ever since she had become a teacher at Shrek Academy, this was the first time Zhou Yu had received public praise. Originally, the students in class 1 had been the fewest in number among the 10 classes, but after the round-robin tournament, over half of the students who had participated in the assessment had been eliminated. As a result of this, class 1 was now the class who had the greatest number of students in year 1. No matter how strict Zhou Yu was, everyone was feeling very happy today. This was also the main reason why Huo Yuao and Wang Dong had been forgiven even though they had turned up late to class. Late to class. Okay, quiet down. After letting the class cheer for a long time, Zhou Yu motioned for them to quiet down. The only way for you to guarantee that you'll stay in the academy is to pass the assessment. At the very least, you won't be easily eliminated for another year. However, it's only one more year. If you become lazy in the future, I'm afraid that I won't be able to continue seeing you after your second year here. Furthermore, it's not such a big deal to be able to pass the freshman assessment. Out of the 22 teams here, 14 teams haven't finished their freshman assessment yet. Because you've entered the top 64, you'll still have to go through the knockout competition, which is where you can truly prove how outstanding you are. After hearing Zhou Yu's words, the two raised their heads, exposing a trace of amazement in their eyes. There was no need to mention the fact that all 22 teams from their class had passed the assessment, but there were actually 14 teams that had entered the top 64. In other words, their class alone occupied over 20% of the top 64 spots. The percentage of students from class 1 who managed to enter the knockout round was double that of the other classes. With a result like this, they truly deserve to be arrogant. Zhou Yu continued speaking. During the round-robin tournament, a total of 6 teams managed to win every single match they participated in. Our class only has one such team. Originally, I was planning to give them a reward, but unfortunately, they turned up late to class. Hence, their merits are equal to their demerits, so I won't reward them or punish them. Once again, Huo Yuao and Wang Dong became the center of attention of the entire class. The two of them truly felt depressed. They then looked each other in the eye. Their gazes looked normal, but both of them were stunned. When they looked at each other, they clearly sensed the soul power in their bodies undulate for a moment. This caused a sense of intimacy that was hard to describe to involuntarily arise, so much so that they felt like hugging each other again. At this moment, the two simultaneously thought of the reason why they had ended up on Wang Dong's bed after hugging each other. Wang Dong muttered, "Could we have succeeded?" Huo Yuao was more certain of the answer than Wang Dong. After all, he had talked to the Sky Dream Ice Worm. He naturally couldn't appear too certain, but he couldn't help but expose a fervent look in his eyes. It could be. Shall we try it out after class? Yep. The two nodded at each other at what seemed to be the same instant. A hard-to-describe sense of understanding involuntarily arose between the two, and although Huo Yuao's mental detection hadn't been activated, the two of them seemed to be able to predict their counterpart's next move. This feeling made them feel as if they were twins. It felt wonderful, yet extraordinarily peculiar. Thump. A loud sound jolted the two from that peculiar feeling. The two simultaneously raised their heads, just in time for them to see Zhou Yu's angry face. Oops. Their absent-mindedness during class had been caught. You two, go outside and start running with chainmail on you. You're not allowed to stop until the bell rings. You two just achieved something, but you're already so satisfied with yourselves. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. The two simultaneously cried out in their hearts. However, they knew that as long as Teacher Zhou decided on something, there was no way she would change her mind. Helplessly, they could only leave the classroom with a bitter look on their faces and return to their dorms to get their chainmail. As she saw the two leave dejectedly, Zhou Yu snorted. All of you, remember this. No matter how successful you are, you must always have a humble and cautious heart. Not only can arrogance cause you to deteriorate, it can also take your life. The knockout round will start tomorrow, so I'll give you a simple explanation regarding its main parts. The two of them were doomed to not listen to Zhou Yu's explanation, but it was fortunate that Xia was still there. Although she didn't explicitly state it, Zhou Yu intended Xia to pass the information on to them. I'm blaming you for this. Once they left the teaching block, Wang Dong exploded, speaking angrily to Huo Yuao. Huo Yuao had a wronged expression on his face as he said, "How can you blame me for this? You were the one who insisted on me hugging you yesterday. What did you say?" A cold light appeared in Wang Dong's eyes as he looked at Huo Yuao with clenched teeth. We're a team. We should be united. Huo Yuao solemnly looked towards Wang Dong, who already had his fists clenched. Unity my ass. You're the reason why I got punished, so you tell me what you're going to do about it. Wang Dong said angrily. Also, you slept on my bed last night. What are you going to do about that? Huo Yuao patted Wang Dong's shoulder while putting his hand around his neck. Okay, we're all brothers, so we shouldn't bicker over a small matter like this. Okay. We should just quickly finish Teacher Zhou's task, just in case she flips out on us. In the instant Huo Yuao placed his hand around Wang Dong's neck, Wang Dong was immediately stunned. Huo Yuao's voice had also become softer. After speaking, the two completely stopped moving. Huo Yuao subconsciously looked towards his hands. Wang Dong did as well. Why would this happen? The two spoke in unison. Correct. A strange thing had happened to the two. When Huo Yuao's hand touched Wang Dong's neck, it seemed like the two had been connected. Huo Yuao's soul power had flowed into Wang Dong's body in a very natural manner, while Wang Dong's soul power had slowly flowed back. It was as if the two had formed a complete whole. Although the connection was only formed from Wang Dong's neck and Huo Yuao's hand, that feeling was very clear. That's not right. Let's try it again. Huo Yuao first pulled back the hand he was holding Wang Dong with, before gripping Wang Dong's two hands with his own hands. Wang Dong's hands were unusually soft, and they were extremely smooth. It was very comfortable to hold them. However, the present Huo Yuao didn't have the time to fully experience this feeling. In the instant the two held hands, the soul power from Huo Yuao's mysterious heaven technique started moving. It flowed rapidly from his right hand into Wang Dong's left hand. Then, his left hand generated what seemed to be an absorption force that absorbed Wang Dong's soul power into his body. The soul power of the two rapidly circulated, and the speed of this circulation was at least double the speed of Huo Yuao's previous circulation speed. Wang Dong was a genius among geniuses in the first place, so he immediately realized what had happened. Try controlling it for a bit. Try and pour it into your body. As he spoke, he pulled back his left hand. This way, only his soul power was being transferred to Huo Yuao's body. Immediately, Huo Yuao felt that his soul power was explosively increasing at an astonishing rate. An unprecedented feeling of power filled his entire body. As a result of being remolded by the mysterious water pill and nourished by the mysterious heaven technique, the endurance of his passageways had already reached the apex of what could be achieved by his peers. Although a large amount of soul power had entered his body, he didn't feel bloated at all. An imperceptible sense of understanding had already appeared between the two of them. Huo Yuao immediately activated his mental detection, enveloping Wang Dong within it. For the sake of immersing himself in this bizarre feeling, Wang Dong shut his eyes. Immediately, he discovered that the range of Huo Yuao's mental detection was increasing at an astonishing rate. Originally, Huo Yuao's mental detection could exceed a range of 60 meters when it was activated in a spherical manner. It could reach 100 meters or so when it was focused in one direction. However, his mental detection quickly reached a radius of 100 meters as a result of Wang Dong's additional soul power. As the two stared stupefied at each other, Huo Yuao's voice trembled slightly. Wang Dong, have you heard of soul masters who can share their soul power with another person who they fuse their martial soul with? Wang Dong blankly shook his head and muttered, why would this happen? Don't tell me that our attempt yesterday actually succeeded. Huo Yuao had an excited expression as he said, shall we find a place to try it out? Right at this moment, an angry voice rang out from the window of the nearby teaching block. Why aren't you two wearing your chainmail and running? Why are you holding hands and calling each other? Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.